Okay, so well, first of all, welcome everybody and thanks. Uh, this is going to be really informal, mostly fun. It's an early play test. Games still a long ways from if it ever gets, actually produced and sold. It's a long ways from that. But the game itself is pretty far along. So before we get too far along, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then this will be the most formal thing that we do all night. I'll have everybody go around and just kind of introduce yourself. And my name's Rob McCray, and I live here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I work at the Tuscaloosa VA Medical Center here. Did 23 years in the Air Force, retired a few years back, and then transitioned back home and work at the VA now. I do a lot of solo wargaming. I have a group of friends that I play games with on Monday nights from around the world, not around the world, from around the country. And that's how I found Source of the Nile. It was one of the games that we picked up. So learned how to play it, and then I learned how to build vassal modules. So I built the vassal module for Source of the Nile and learned a lot about it. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at Source of the Nile per se, compared to like Patrick, because I've seen your notes on Board Game Geek, and yeah, I would say you're pretty much at the expert level when it comes to Source of the Nile. So that's going to be great as we go through this, because there will be times when I say, well, how is this solved in Source of the Nile, and I kind of use that as kind of a base sometimes for how I want to approach things in Explorers of the Lost World. Bruce, you go ahead next.
Hi, I live in Indianapolis, work as a database programmer. I bought Source of the Nile new off the shelf at Walden Books many years ago, but I probably haven't played it in about 35 years. But it's still on the shelf in my closet. I'm looking forward to this because the exploration mechanic in Source of the Nile is my favorite of any game ever. But about a year ago, I took it off the shelf, and because I didn't remember how to play it, and having gotten used to modern rule books, I was kind of daunted by that old rule book, even though I didn't have a problem with it when I was in high school. But so I put it back on the shelf and didn't play it. But I'm looking forward to this because the rules seems somewhat simplified from what I remember.
Yeah, it's basically the same game mechanic, but it is somewhat simplified. And I got rid of some of the extraneous stuff of the real worldism of the Source of the Nile. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you. It's the game mechanic. That's kind of what interested me about it, is because even though there's a lot of chance in it, a lot of for lack of a better word, luck, as opposed to like when you're playing a head-on war game with somebody else. And I think it was Ted that said that that's kind of his background is war games, stuff like that. So a lot of the mechanics will be kind of unique, because I think this is a really unique game mechanic. It's a card-driven game, but it's not from the same family of the Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, or even the other board games like all the Mark Herman games that are card-driven games. The mechanic is completely different. So yeah, that's kind of what drew me to it as well. Okay, Aaron.
I'm Aaron. I'm a friend of Bruce's. I'm apologize. I'm trying to eat dinner when we do this.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a board game amateur, but I've never played Source of the Nile. But I'm looking forward to checking it out and seeing what all the fuss is about. I've heard Bruce talk about it on multiple occasions. So, and I also enjoy exploration themed board games. So I'm looking forward to it.
I still feel like I'm an amateur when I play with like some people who are like expert level at certain games. You always feel like an amateur. On this game, almost every game that you play, the cliche is going to be easy to learn, hard to master. But I think this one really, and not just Explorers of the Lost World, but Source of the Nile, the basic game is really easy enough. You can literally teach the game with one player who knows what they're doing to everybody that's playing, almost kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, where as long as you have one skilled person that can say, no, do this, no, do that. You can really get people through this game step by step and not have to explain to them the deeper why you would want to do this or why you would want to do that, like you would in a head-to-head war game where it's difficult to tell people what to do rules-wise, while at the same time you're trying to tell them what to do strategy-wise. It's a lot simpler in this game to be able to pull that off than some of the war games out there. Ted.
Hey guys, my name's Ted. As Rob mentioned, I'm a war gamer by nature, so most of the exploration we do is in Vietnam, looking for the VC and the NVA. Been playing war games forever. Went through a Euro phase for a while with my kids were younger and whatnot, but I tend very heavily toward the thematic side of the house, whether it's Ameritrash or the war games. So haven't played Source of the Nile before, but played enough Avalon Hill games over the course of the years to know a little bit about the mechanics.
Right. You shouldn't have any trouble, with the mechanics of it. I think the overall mechanic of how the cards are used will be a little bit unusual to you, and possibly, I think there are people out there that wouldn't like this mechanic because, like I say, it does rely a lot on chance. There's a lot of, you just read the card and it tells you what happened to you. And there's no denying that with this game, but there's so much randomness that it feels a lot like storytelling. It feels a lot like a very cinematic experience as you go through the game. So I think what it lacks in decision making, it kind of makes up for in color and flavor. And I know certainly for Source of the Nile, it's just a fun game to go through, even though it is hard as hell to play. I mean, it's hard as hell to win. The elements just wear you down in that game. Okay, we have Patrick.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Patrick Pence. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, and my experience with Source of the Nile is I've been playing it for over 30 years. I first encountered it at, of all places, a scout camp, and somebody had brought a copy of the Discovery Edition that he had done kind of like Rob has done here. He had tricked it out just a little bit to invite new players to understand and sort of grok it, and I was hooked. And a few years later in college, now I'm going to start dating myself here, but I had access to rec.games.board.marketplace, and that's how I acquired my first copy of Source of the Nile. I put out there, hey, does anybody have a copy? And I got a response back, and I bought a copy, and I'm pretty sure that I bought a copy from Joel Uckelman, who I believe is the guy who created the Axe website. So I think that's him. I'm pretty sure. But so I have his copy, and it's lovingly been in my collection since then. I actively try to proselytize the game to new players, and for the last 8 or 9 years, every year at our local conventions, I typically run a guided game. As Rob said, I will usually act as sort of the moderator to just teach the rules and get people going, and it is an experience for folks every year, because we've lovingly started calling it Schadenfreude of the Nile, because it is all about watching the other people die horrible deaths, and to see who can be the last one standing. And we often talk big about, we're going to run a campaign and we're going to map this thing every year, but most everyone dies by the end of the third hour. So it is a hoot to watch, but everyone comes back every year. That's one of the events that they love to do. And I love playing it specifically, like you've all said, just for the mapping component. I think the mapping mechanic of it is spectacular, both from its evolution from the Discovery game to the Avalon Hill card-driven part. I think it's wonderful, and I'm really excited that Rob has managed to port it to this. I've also seen the the other one that was on Constant World that just got released, which is I guess the Rocky Mountain Men, which I think is a great little implementation too. So
That's not bad.
Yeah, I've been kicking around some ideas of how to do the same thing in other games and other variations. So when I saw this, I jumped on it. Like I said, I'm recording this for my YouTube channel, so if you would like to see this put out there, I think it will draw some attention to it, and it may help you out.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't turn into a big cluster, then yeah.
That's half the fun. Great.
Potential for that. But I think we've gotten over the initial part. We've got the communication going. So yeah, I will be leaning on that and kind of tell you how I kind of ported it in my head from Source of the Nile to Explorers of the Lost World. The first time I played Source of the Nile, first of all, I thought, well, it's a fascinating game. A few things, and I'll just go ahead and throw out there. The game I think was designed in the 70s. I don't know the exact dates in the top of my head, but it was probably a mid 70s design. Of course, that was a different world back then. So the topic of it is pretty heavy, and I can probably imagine that the average gamer picking that game up in the 1970s and playing it, would have easily went back in their imagination to when they were playing or when they were watching movies about African exploration. Certainly the Tarzan movies, all those adventure movies that were filmed either in Africa or in sets that look like Africa. The one with Spencer Tracy, Dr. What's His Face, I presume.
Dr. Livingstone.
Yeah, exactly. So the world that we live in now is a lot different, and the reason why I bring that up is because it's a really heavy game, and I think I've played lots of war games where obviously the cardboard that you're moving around and you're taking off, you're representing cardboard soldiers that died in that attack or whatever. And I have to say that I never really got the emotional response from any war game that I did from Source of the Nile, which is, as Patrick said, it's just kind of a charnel house for the cardboard humans in the game that don't get very far, and they die from one reason or another, and you just go back and you replace them, and they die and they replace them. For me, I think that was part of the genius part of the design is that it really, whether you started the game thinking about that or not, but it doesn't take you long to realize the cost and human effort that it would have taken to explore Africa. So I think there's a lot of heavy baggage with Source of the Nile that, for me, is important to take into consideration. But when I finished playing Source of the Nile that first night, I thought, wow, this game mechanic has a lot of potential for lots of different areas. But the first one that came to mind for me, because my favorite movie of all time is the original King Kong, the 1933 one, Fay Ray, and the big mechanical gorilla. And I thought, you could really just take that world and just map it out with all the creatures and everything. So that was really kind of the genesis of this. And I'll go ahead and tell you that the island itself is really kind of based off of that little drawing from the first movie of the Lost World, or Skull Island, really, I guess it was from the movie. So that's really kind of the basic shape that I worked with. You can see the promontory there, and the wall that separates the two parts of the island, and the Great Mountain there in the darker gray area. So I just started working and just kind of porting some of the changes, and it's obviously going to be a much lighter game because it's kind of fantasy based, and so I did want to keep that kind of cinematic aspect of it. So that's really why the whole thing's done in black and white, just to kind of give you that kind of silver screen cinematic experience while you're playing the game. It doesn't always work 100% of the time in terms of gameplay, just to have the black, the white, the grays. But I did put the pieces in colors, at least, so it's a little bit easier to tell the teams apart. I kind of want people to maybe visualize maybe humorously some of those movies. I don't know how old you guys are, but some of the movies back in the 30s where they would have these really cheesy looking merchant marine guys that were on ships that always had the striped shirts and everything, slightly overweight, kind of a Keystone Cop kind of air about them. If you kind of think of them that way, maybe it's not so dark when you lose 3 crew members to a scorpion bite. So
the red shirts.
That's right. That's exactly what they are. The red shirts. So as I said, it's kind of a tribute to Lost World novels and movies with a cinematic approach to it, based on Source of the Nile. And for you, Ted, since you're actually in Aaron too, since you're both new to this, the one aspect of it that I'll go and pre-warn you about, it is meant to be a slog. You're likely to get frustrated early on with how difficult it is to move a hex from one hex to another because of the number of things that will prevent you from going there, whether it's the weather or rations or the movement points. So it's a slow moving game, and sometimes you'll get stuck in a hex for 5 or 6 turns before you can move on. But like I say, it is designed to be a very slow and laborious experience moving across the map. I could estimate that if you played this game to completion and you explored every hex terrain, it could be in hours, easily 100 plus hours. Depending on how many players you had. Because it would just take a long time to actually do all of the hexes. Again, the goal of the game is to explore, map terrain, hunt, do discovery, and mostly survive. And pretty much everything that you do, not everything, but most of the things that you do are either going to grant you victory points or take away victory points. I'll talk about the cards. I didn't really plan to talk about them at this point, but I'll go ahead and talk about them. So, from the Source of the Nile cards, they're laid out pretty much the same format as the Source of the Nile cards. If you guys have gone through the module, you've seen them. I gave them a little bit of shaded backgrounds to give them a little bit nicer look than the Avalon Hill cheapo cardboard cards that came with the game. It just kind of breaks down the different sections for the events, the terrain, creature discovery, and bonuses. I'll just go ahead and go through the menu, and then we'll get to the server part during the menu, and it'll show you how to verify. So just looking at the top of the Vassal module real quick, you have to the farthest left, you have the standard Vassal menu options, which is undo, and then the next one that looks like a VCR play button is where you can play back log files. So if you haven't started a log file yet, when it came up and asked you, I'd recommend go ahead and starting your own log file. That way it will record all of the moves that we make in Vassal. The next one is the server button. So when you click on it, it turns the server window on or off. And so if you have the server window on, you can see over the far right-hand side that we are in the Explorers of the Lost World playtest room, and it'll show everybody that's in that particular room. We could lock the room so nobody else can come in, and but probably don't need to do that because nobody else really has the module to come in. I guess people out there could have the module, but I highly doubt it. And then next is the retire button, and that is, if you need to change sides. So I came in as solitaire, which kind of gives me godlike power, so I can go pretty much anywhere and do anything if I need to, but probably shouldn't have to, but I can do that, and it should be able to control all of the Explorer journals as well if needed, but again, I shouldn't have to. The next is the pieces button. So if you want to click on the one, that's the white one with the camera, but right there to the left of the first die. And that opens up the pieces window, and you'll see where it says miscellaneous, teams, special discoveries, blank labels, mountain heights, or blank labels, mountain heights, and terrain. So the blank labels is kind of a way that, for whatever reason, if you need to put some type of text onto the board just as a note for something, it gives you the ability to do that. And then the terrain is really the workhorse of this module. The guy, Brian 448, don't know who he is, but he created the original Source of the Nile module. But he came up with this way of being able to map the terrain. It's really clever. We'll go through that shortly. Then there's the 1d6, 2d6, and 3d6. And they're available to you. You could, of course, if you wanted to do 3d6 by rolling 3 1d6s, you could do it that way, but it's all there in case you want to. Next is the cards window. I have 4 monitors here, so let me reach across and grab my cards and move them where I want them. And so we'll get to those in a little bit, but basically, in terms of how you use it, you grab a card, you put it in that rectangle that's in the center of the window, and then if you want to discard, you put it into the right-hand thing, and then you put it back in the stack, and it reshuffles. The next one, if you want to go ahead and click on the Explorer Journal. Okay, so if everybody will go to the gray journal for a second. And does everybody see the gray journal now?
Yep.
Okay, so here's what you're going to do on your color. So I'm just going to set up a team here. So I usually go with the movie director as one of my, well, it's not, yeah, it worked, yeah. So as one of my professionals, and cowboy. And I've got my 12 crew members already to set up to start with. And then select 2 tools. So I don't need to select a camera because the movie director already has a camera. So I'm going to select a compass and a machete. And all of these professionals have kind of an extra life to them beyond just saying they're a cowboy or a movie director. The journalist, for instance, was a communications expert. So he has a heliograph that he carries around with him, and he's able to communicate back and forth to the ship, which is kind of nice to have. The geologist, of course, is able to pan for gold. So I haven't quite fleshed out all of the personalities on individual strengths, but certainly within the cards, there are individual strengths, you know, depending on what the card tells you that you're needing. So there's 3 first aid kits, 3 gas bombs. Any questions on anything, all the stuff that I went over at the top of the board, the professionals? Well, let me say this. So how I changed that was I right-clicked, and it gave me the change value, and then it gives me the pull down. So is everybody go to your color real quick and go ahead and pick 2 professionals, and that we'll at least get that much started on how that operates.
All set. Got my 2.
Cool. What'd you pick?
Anthropologist and geologist. So this should be fun. So okay. Having 2 professionals, they will still be in a single team. I guess this just adds the variability of what bonuses you get.
Yeah, and I could have done it where there's this kind of a variation from Source of the Nile. I decided to go with 2 professionals just to give it a little bit more variety. There's really no game distinction on who the lead is. For one thing, they're immortal. So in this game, nothing can happen to either of the two professionals that is permanent. You don't have to go back to port and find a new friend and bring them back. So once you pick your two professionals, that's it for the whole game. But like that, I just wanted to kind of spice up the variety of things that can happen with your team compared to Source of the Nile. I do think in Source of the Nile, can't you take a doctor along? Is that one of the options?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking so. Okay, so the next part, just want to make sure that everybody understands how this board works. The team VPs is a calculated number. So it's calculated from the numbers that are in the different sections below. So for instance, if you look on my turn 1 morning, which is what the morning, night, and evening, the MNE stand for there. So turn 1 is the morning of the first day. If you look at bonus, I'm going to increment that up to 1, and you see that it gives me 1 team victory point now and a total of 1 point for this turn. If I added on turn 2, you'll see that each turn now shows 1 point each total, and the total overall up at the top is now 2. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can right click like you did when you selected your professional and either increase or decrease, or you can just left click on the number and then on your keyboard, the up and down button, you can just increment using that. Everybody see how that works?
Yep. Even goes negative.
Yeah, that's right. It will go negative because sometimes you'll get negative bonuses. And regardless, if it goes negative, it's going to do the proper math for the total. Okay, so that's how all of those work. And as we go through the game turns, we'll see how that works. So at the bottom, there's a couple sections here. So the greatest snake length works the same way. If you click on the 0 and then use the up and down button, or you can right click for the feet and inches. And then the tracking. So the tracking is something that's completely original to this game and not Source of the Nile. So at all times during the game, you will have a creature of interest. And that's basically a creature that your team is tracking for whatever reasons. Could be to photograph it, could be to eat it. That's not really part of the game, but I suppose you would be tracking for several different reasons. So let's say you started out tracking the Ankylosaurus. You're going to right click on it, and that'll change it to show that you're tracking that animal. I have 2 graphics there, so if you're tracking a mammal, you can put the mammal footprints down there. It doesn't really matter in terms of the game, but just a visual. And then once you've successfully tracked it, you will mark it as tracked and then go into the other animal. So you don't have to do these in any order, but your decision should be based on understanding that it's really easy to track the Ankylosaurus, and it's really difficult to track the gorilla. Okay, but you could start tracking the gorilla from the beginning and knock it out and get it out of the way, but you might go the entire game without ever successfully tracking it. And the mechanic of that is, if you're in a hex and you decide you're tracking the Triceratops, which is the second one, it has a tracking number of 2. So that means you have to successfully track it twice. So when it comes to the tracking phase, you'll roll a single die. And if you roll a 1 on the first tracking attempt, you've successfully tracked. And then you roll another die to figure out which hex around it moved to. And then you place a counter there to show that that's where you track the animal to. Then on your next movement phase, you can track again. Since it's the second tracking attempt, you have to roll a 1 or a 2 to successfully track. And if you roll a 1 or a 2 in the second, then you've successfully tracked the Triceratops. So that's why you can see with the gorilla, you'd have to roll a 1, and then a 1, 2, then a 1, 2, 3, and then once you get that far, it's actually kind of easy to get the gorilla if you get the first 3. But you'll have lots of unsuccessful attempts before that happens, unless you just get magically lucky for the beginning. So, any questions on that?
No, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
But you need to put man there as the most dangerous game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I watched that the other night, by the way. Okay, so enough for the journal right now. So let's go ahead and get ready to play here. We've been jabbering for about an hour, and we haven't been killed or attacked by anything yet. So let's go ahead and dive in. So let me bring up my quick start guide here, which I've already updated and I sent out to you guys. So everybody's picked a color and 2 professionals, and so go ahead and pick 2 tools. Okay. So how many tools does everybody have?
2.
Got 2.
Got 2.
2. Okay. So let's go ahead and go up to 4 tools, and what the logic there is, that will be your 2 tools of choice and your 2 tools associated with your professional. So the next thing that we're going to do is, so everybody select a creature of interest. Again, you can select any of them, or you can start at the easiest one and move to the right. It doesn't matter, except that I would say the easiest thing to do would be to select the one all the way to the left, the Ankylosaurus, and just work through them one by one. But you don't have to. Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
Awesome. Okay. So next are the discovery tiles. This is similar to the discovery tiles in Source of the Nile. For those of you who have not played Source of the Nile, so these are special tiles that are out there that kind of give the explorers some. There are several different goals that you could do here. One would be to go to try to explore the mountain and see what's going on up there. The other is these discovery tiles are out there, and you'll want to go see what's under them. Most of them are good. Some of them are a little tricky, but they're kind of randomized. So if somebody wants to, let's see if I can. Does everybody see where the discovery tiles are on the map?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it doesn't matter if somebody wants to, or you guys can multiply do this. Just start grabbing them and put 2 in the lake anywhere, 2 in the mountain, 2 east of the mountain, and 2 west of the mountain. Okay, so I think we're ready. So everybody roll a die, and we'll figure out the die roll or the turn order. Okay, so we have an order now, right? So it's white, blue, yellow, red. Okay, so white, go ahead and go to the Pieces tab and pull down where it says Teams and put your token on any hex on the black line that separates the promontory to the southwest and the regular part of the map.
So down here in this little separate southwestern peninsula?
Yep. Any hex
On the wall.
black line.
On this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so that's perfectly fine. Okay, so now we roll for weather. So white, since you're first, if you want to go ahead and roll a die for the weather. Okay, so it's a 3, and we are going to use the alternate rule for the weather, which is the more realistic rule. So you check for weather in each phase of the day, morning, noon, and evening. But to keep the weather somewhat realistic, since we rolled a 3, when it's time to roll the noon, the only options that we will have are the 2 weather patterns on the opposite side, which are, so 3 is heavy rain. So when it's next turn and we dial for noon, the only options for weather that we have will be thunderstorms or showers. So it'll kind of transition the weather naturally instead of going from thunderstorms to clear sky and then thunderstorms again, which is possible on islands like that.
Can we go to an island with a better climate?
It's
very wet here.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a great day to start our expedition.
That's right.
It's very thematic.
So we're just going to start with the morning. Basically, nobody could get started because of the weather. So yeah, so everybody will get a chance to hunt then. There's no terrain there. And we'll treat this as veld. I'm kind of glad this happened because it is kind of an unusual start to the game. So you rolled a 2. Who's your other professional?
I'm a biologist and a journalist.
Okay. So you rolled a 2 on the veld, so you get
Natural
1.
hunters.
You get 1 for hunting. So on your journal, and so that'll be the end of your turn for right now. And so who was next?
Blue.
Blue. Okay. So go ahead and place yours and do your hunting.
Big 3.
Roll a 3.
I got a cowboy with me.
Oh, so that's a +1 on hunt.
So 4.
So
would
3
be
becomes a 4, and we're treating it as veld, which is 2. So give yourself a 2.
Got a squirrel.
Yeah. And next is
Yellow.
yellow. Okay, go ahead and place your tile or your counter. Up. Now you got the white color. Good. Delete that. And on the window, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. There's a divide right under where it says teams.
Mm-hmm.
And if you split that, you'll see where you can select the yellow team.
Oh, so maybe I need to increase the size of it.
Yep.
Aha, yes.
Yeah. And pull the yellow one out.
There we go. And this here. And pick the character.
There you go.
Okay.
It's like a slot machine.
Yeah. And I've also got a cowboy, so that gives me +1 on the hunting. I rolled a 3.
On belt.
Gives me an I. I'm looking at the wrong table.
Okay.
3 belt 1.
And red.
Okay. Looks like I'm going there. Are we presuming that we're all in Velt? Is that for this? Or were we all picking a... Or were we discovering a...
I think we're all in belt.
Okay. Just making sure. Alright, here's my hunting. It's a 3, so I get 1. No modifiers.
Yep. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so now we'll go to noon.
Where do I record the rations?
Yes.
Where do I record it?
On the journal under Hunt Fish VPs.
So that's a victory point then? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you get 2 victory points for each ration.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so go ahead and roll for weather again.
Does turn order stay static through the whole game then?
It does.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
It's you, Aaron.
Roll better. Where's that sun?
I will roll for weather. Here we go.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's a 1! Oh!
Okay, so
So do we just go up to thunderstorm then? Because you can only go to an adjacent.
no, you roll again because it can only keep rolling until we get a
2 or
3
4? 2, 3, or 4.
2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
Hopefully a 4.
Here we go. 6.
Keep rolling.
Oh, okay. 4.
There.
4. Hey!
Okay, so-
It's just wet now.
Yeah. So now we have showers, and the effect is -1 movement point, and no professional activities. And we'll talk about professional activities later. We'll kind of ignore those for a while. So before we go into the actual movement, so the area equal. Do you see the top of the lake there? That row of hexes up until you get to the swamp area with the little sprouts. So, and then you go southeast to the coast, following the lake line. All of that area in between there and the wall, it's impossible to get lost. The reason why is because you already are familiar with that area by a mysterious map that you own. So let's go ahead and get into this turn. And let me select the weather.
Are the areas that have like terrain on them, are they considered explored already, or?
They are, yes.
So you wouldn't get credit for going in there. Anything that's already got a terrain marker is explored. Okay, got it.
That is correct.
Well, that might be something you want to clarify in the mapping section of the rules.
Yep. Yeah, let me jot that down.
Yeah, because you use the term pre-drawn, unexplored, and mapped, but I'm not sure that they're ever really defined what those things specifically mean.
Got it. Okay, so we did weather restrictions. Everybody's good on movement for rations. And so
we only have one movement point now, right? Because of the rain?
That's correct. Only one movement point. And from the black line, you do not draw the event card on the first turn. So we're going to move to the next phase, which is check for loss. And I just said you can't get lost in this area. So we're going to go to the next, which is move your team. So go ahead and move to any hex.
Simultaneously?
So the jungle is 2 and 3. What? I guess two questions. What's the difference between 2 and 3? And then also, can you move in if you only have one movement point, or are you just kind of stuck?
Yeah, so you can always move into the jungle hex with as long as you have 2 movement points, but you pay the extra movement point by having to sit there for an extra turn before you move out of it.
So with one movement, can we even move into the jungle this turn?
Yes. Yeah, because let's see. No, you are correct. You can't. You have to move into the blank hex that's in front of you. Yeah, we're going to run into a pile-up problem here.
So White can only move northwest, or White can only move northwest now, right? Because he can't move in. He can't move northeast or east into the jungle.
Yeah, I've kind of created a bottleneck here.
That's what the playtest is for.
Does the machete provide any benefit?
The machete does. The machete is the 2, and without machete is the 3.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But
it's still not enough, though, right?
Let me look at my terrain thing here. Jungle.
Should have taken the bulldozer.
Yeah.
I believe if I'm thinking back to Source of the Nile that published hexes are always 1 movement point across, no matter what they are.
Yeah, that's probably what I was thinking when I did that. You are correct. So you can go into either hex. Yeah. I'm running into some things here that I've played this game many times that I've never run into, but that's good.
You get a bunch of noobs around the table and all you find out all kinds of things now.
Mhm.
Well, what really messed it up was I changed the weather effects just the other day, and that's really why I haven't seen this before, because I've never had bad weather that affected movement point off of the wall before. So I'm definitely gonna have to take a look at that. So White, go ahead, and Aaron, go ahead and move into either of the 2 hexes in front of you or the 3 hexes in front of you.
So just out of curiosity, that if you would have gone to the northwest, is that considered is blank veldt, or is that just unexplored and he would have to map that hex?
Yeah. So
does this partial hex count? Can I move into the?
You can. And I would recommend go ahead and move into the partial hex there, and we'll go ahead and see how you map the terrain. So all of the white areas are unmapped terrain. So the first thing that we'll have to do now is map that terrain. So you did your movement. So the next step is map terrain. So go ahead and open up the cards window.
Okay.
And pull a card to that center rectangle.
This is where the zoom in button helps a lot.
Well, you can actually, if you just hold the cursor over the card, it'll auto zoom.
I got lucky on this one.
Yep. So terrain is 5-4 mountain. So here's how the terrain works. So if you scroll up on the map and you see the map compass, and if you hold over it, it'll enlarge it as well.
Oh yeah.
You see direction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Okay, so what numbers did it give us? So we look at the first number. So direction 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put you out in the ocean. So obviously you can't, it's not going to be an ocean hex. So that doesn't work. So we go to the next number, which is a 4. And so we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, it puts us out in the ocean. So since we can't do either of those, we're going to have us a mountain hex right there next to the ocean. So the way that you do the terrain is you go up to the pieces and you see that white hex there.
Mm-hmm.
Pull that down and put it right on top of your player.
Where am I seeing the pieces? Sorry.
Same place you pulled your team marker from.
Oh, so it's just a token that I just changed the.
Well, no, but there's a different tab that says terrain.
Yep.
Well, it was just blank, so and I put that on top of my character.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just put it on top of your character. And now right-click right underneath your character, and you'll see some options pop up.
Okay.
And so you'll see one called Change Terrain.
Control T for those of you who like to use the keyboard.
Yep. And just you're going to change it till you see. Do you see what the mountains look like?
I can't see behind my token.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pull it out to the side.
Yeah.
There you go. And then do the Control T. Okay. Is that? Yeah.
That's
There's
like a mountain, right?
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and first of all, and give yourself 2 victory points for the terrain discovery. Okay. So there's no river creation in the same area as the area where you can't get lost. So we're going to skip check for river, but you are going to do the next phase, which is discover creature. And just so you know, the sequence of play is right there underneath the island, that big chart there.
Mm-hmm.
If you hover over it, it'll expand as well. Okay, so Next is discover creature. So go ahead and pull another card. And so the discover creature says
Oh,
it
no.
contains a
Mhm.
mountain.
Well, yes, we do have a mountain.
Okay, beautiful. So,
Beautiful.
okay, so here's how you discover creature. So you're going to roll. So first of all, just kind of hover over the discover creature table, which is just to the right of the sequence of play. These are all up in the tables option as well. So you can, if you prefer looking at the charts window, you can do it that way. But if you just hover over the discover creature, you can see that in the mountain, you're either going to have a gorilla, a pterodon, a pteranodon, a cave bear, a giant spider, saber-toothed tiger, or a giant bat.
That sounds bad.
Yeah.
And then I just rolled to see what it is, huh?
Yep. Just roll a
Man.
1d6. So 4. Oh, you're a giant spider. That's
She loves
Exciting.
Yeah.
Shelob, yeah. Yep.
So the next thing you're going to do is the next table just to the right of it. You're going to figure out the creature strength, and the creature strength is basically based on the creature's age. So every creature here just keeps getting bigger and bigger as they get older. Just basic science, right? So go ahead and roll your first die, which is a 2. So it's a 5-year-old spider. Spiders live a long time. And then your second die, which is a 6. So it's a small spider. So he's probably only, 2 to 5 feet in diameter.
Is that your definition of a small spider? Wow.
A small giant spider.
Exactly.
Right. So now we go to, okay, so now you have a choice. You can either try to flee and hide. There's a choice there, or you can choose to defend against the spider. The advantage of defending against the spider is that you will automatically get the 2 victory points for defending against the spider. If you flee or hide, if you flee, you forfeit the 2 victory points altogether, but you may not lose any crew members.
You got a full team.
Look, if we run away from a small spider on day one,
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're
What does
here.
that say?
I'm a biologist. This is why we came. So I'm definitely going to defend against the.
Yeah, as well as let's say he happened to lose 3 crew members from defending. You're only 1 hex away from moving back to where you can replenish anyway, so it's really not much of a gamble.
It's just gonna get worse.
Yeah. And let me talk about replenish since I mentioned it. So each one of your teams has a ship off the coast near the promontory that you basically has a bunch of willing crew members out there just waiting to replace the last guys who got killed. So if you ever completely run out of crew members, you could bounce right back and replenish.
Okay.
Okay, so we know that this is a small spider. So you decided you want to defend, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the crew individual defend table terrain type. And so this will be the crew defend, not the individual. The individual comes up like you'll see when cards tell us to do that. Right now we're doing a full crew against this 1 spider. So go ahead and roll your die.
Uh-oh.
A 1.
It's a nasty spider.
Okay, so you rolled a 1.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so you lost 3 crew members.
Wow, dude.
Well, it's a small
Outside the
spider, though, right? So he only gets the +1 DRM for the small spider, right?
Oh, that's right, yeah. It's +1 plus. Do you have a cowboy? No, you don't have a cowboy.
I thought all my crew had guns. What's happening?
Dude,
Armored spider.
they're not very good shots. They're terrified that because this is the first thing they saw. They get on this island like, whoa, there's a 5-foot spider here. Okay.
By noon, 2 guys are already gone.
Okay. So next, so we finished the discover creature. So next is tracking. So which animal are you tracking?
I'm tracking
Triceratops?
the Triceratops, my childhood favorite dinosaur.
Yep. So go ahead and roll us a 1d6. Okay. So you don't see anything. You would have to roll a 1 for it to be successful. And next is your hunting. Well, you've already skipped conduct professional activities by choosing to move. So we're going to go to hunt next. So go ahead and roll.
Oh, so you don't. If you choose professional activities, you don't lose the next turn. You can't do anything in the current turn.
Yeah, right. So if you choose conduct professional activities, you're basically going to hunker down. That's why I said we're not going to do that for a while. Once you learn the game, you might choose to just move in a hex and start doing professional activities right off the bat. But
yeah, you might want to just check the rules on that one for clarification, because it says the player forfeits the movement the next turn if you do professional activities. So that might need to be.
That's right. Yeah, because you're basically going to be hunkering down in there for a while, making attempts for the professional activities. But yeah, I'll check that and make sure that it's clear.
Well, we're also not doing professional activities because of the showers, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Do unprofessional things.
Yeah.
That's right.
So next is check for bonuses. So go ahead and pull another card. And so you are a biologist, which says discover Delphinium macrocentron if in the veld or mountain. So you get 2 of your victory points back. Oh, by the way, did you lose 3 crew members?
2 crew members.
2 crew members? Okay, so go ahead and take them from your crew members number on the journal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, it took me forever to find it.
Yep.
Okay.
As well, on the other VPs, subtract 6 VPs.
The 2 per crew member?
Yeah.
2 or 3 per crew member.
2.
You only lost 2 guys, right?
3.
Oh, it's only
Lost
2
3 guys?
You lost 2 guys.
Yeah, it was 3 guys. Yeah.
No, it's 2 because you had to get the +1, right?
You got the +1, so it put them from 1 to 2.
Oh.
So just 2 on the outside.
So
Why am I helping him?
it's 4 from other.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
and so on bonus, add +2 for your Delphinium macrocentron.
I think I got it.
And what is your other professional?
A journalist.
The journalist discovered an unknown plant that produces a natural ink. Fill several jars for 1 victory point.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Losing those 2 guys is really paying off.
Yeah. That's a fair swap.
2
Of course, now you got to write a couple letters to the families, but
2 guys for a jar of ink.
That's what the journalist is here for.
Yep.
And that goes into bonus?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so you're back up to 3 total victory points. Okay, so you only had 1 movement point because of the restriction. So otherwise, you would go right back up and do your next movement phase. But since you don't, your turn is finished. So now it is
Blue.
Blue.
Who would like to move to the east 1 hex into this jungle?
Okay.
It's mapped
And-
already, so I don't do anything, right?
That's correct. So there's no map terrain, but you do get to discover a creature, and you're in the jungle. So go ahead and pull a card.
Get to discover. If the hex containing a jungle or swamp, yes, we got one. So we got to go to discover
no.
creature
Oh
tab.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, jungle. Yeah, you're correct.
Discover creature. And so we're in a swamp. We'll roll a die. Roll a 3. And get us. No, not Stegosaurus. What am I in here? I'm in a jungle. Stegosaurus.
Yeah, cool.
Go me.
Okay, so let's figure out
Creature strength.
creature strength.
So first die roll is a 3. Second die roll is a 5. So it's a 6 to 10-year-old, but it's a 5. So it's a small Stegosaurus. Tiny.
Yeah, it's probably only 18 feet long.
Okay.
Now that's
Now I think I'm tracking the Stegosaurus. Does that matter at this point?
no.
I found him.
Yeah,
There.
yeah. That's a game oddity. You're right, but
Okay. We're defending against this Stegosaurus. He's basically a pacifist. So we're in the jungle, and we roll die. Roll a big 2.
okay.
However, he's a small Stegosaurus, so it's a 3. So I end up eating a crew member, right?
That's correct. And your other guy's not a cowboy, is he?
Oh, he is a cowboy.
Yep. So you get another +1.
Oh, it wasn't enough to save him. Damn. So it's a 2 up to a 4. So I still lose 1 dude.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we go to the journal. Knock down my crew by 1.
And -2 victory points for him.
And that goes under the bonus VPs or the
That goes in the other VPs.
other VPs. Okay, we'll go -2 for that. Okay, so we fought at Stegosaurus and he killed one of our dudes.
Cool.
Like,
Okay. And
okay, so I got to do tracking now, right?
go ahead and roll your die.
I'm actually tracking the giant ground sloth. So, and there is no ground sloths anywhere to be found anywhere.
You're looking through the wrong end of the binoculars.
So no professional activities. So we will hunt next. Correct.
Yep.
So hunting table. Roll some dice. Get a big 2 in the jungle for 1 food. So we got a food earlier today. So we got our 3 food for the day. And then check for bonuses. Right?
Yep.
New card.
Correct.
Bonus. And I've got a paleontologist. Hand feed vegetation to some kind of saurus while in the jungle, 2 VPs. So that's good. And I got a cowboy. We'll try and rope a tyrannosaur. Smart. You are dragged for some distance. Roll for severity. Minus VPs for severity. Well, that sounds terrible. Is there a severity table?
There is. Give me a second here.
Roping a tyrannosaur. That's real smart. Can I fire my cowboy?
Yeah, so it's basically the individual defend table.
So I go to defend table.
Yep. And so you're in the jungle.
So I just roll the dice on the jungle then?
Yep.
Well, let's go, Mr. Cowboy. Big 4.
Okay,
He's a
so
cowboy. Do I get my cowboy bonus for that then too, or no?
You get your cowboy bonus for that.
Oh, it's a 5. So he didn't take any damage there.
Yep. Good.
Okay.
Yep.
So we get 2 jungle. We get 2 VPs for hand feeding the Rheojosaurus.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And that goes under bonus VPs, right? So that just nets out the
That's correct. Bonus
poor
VPs.
dead crewman. All right. Blue's done.
Okay. Next is yellow.
So gonna move into the jungle.
Don't do it. A lot of bad stuff there.
It's already mapped. And now I discover a creature. In the jungle. I roll 1, right?
When you pull a card, right?
Oh, is that right? How do I do that? Yep, that's what it says there. Okay.
Draw one card.
And the card says, if in the jungle.
This deck is stacked.
Okay.
And
Also
then I
do
determine the
three-
creature size.
Well, determine the creature first.
Determine which creature. Okay, so that's roll 1 die. And I get a 4 in the jungle.
Giant ground sloth.
Oh,
I'm
here he
tracking
is.
that. I'm tracking him.
He's
Where
over
is he?
Here. You're 50 miles away. So then it says 2/2. What does that mean?
So the first is the speed, and the second is the visual acuity. So those go into
Okay.
if you choose to flee or hide, they're modifiers.
I'll shoot him in my pistol.
Because that's been working so well for us so
Yeah.
far.
I'll defend. So then
So now figure out the
Strength.
creature size. So roll your first die
2.
for the creature strength. So he is a 3 to 5 year old, and
Roll
second
again.
die,
4.
another small.
Small giant.
Yeah, all the small creatures they're kind of hanging around there at the wall there.
Rob set it up so there's just small creatures close to us right now, so it
Yeah.
gives us a feeling of
It's trying to get
confidence.
crumbs. Okay, and then
Defend.
so you're going to defend.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. Defend table in the jungle. Roll 1.
Yep.
5.
Okay.
You don't want to write that letter home to the crew member's family. Taken out by a sloth. That's embarrassing.
We lost 3 guys to 1 baby spider.
So I put that under flee/hide defend VPs too. Okay.
Does he get 2 VPs no matter what kind of creature it was, or was there something special
no.
about?
No, not under flee hide. Put it under discover creature.
Okay.
So if you lose the battle against the if you take casualties, you don't get discover creature points.
If you lose the battle, you still get the 2 points for discover creature. You give up, you forfeit the victory points if you flee, or if you try to hide and you're unsuccessful at hiding. And so if you're unsuccessful at hiding, you're right back to defending against the creature.
Gotcha.
So I know I just explained it, but let me explain it again. So if you say, well, I'm going to try and hide from the creature because I only have 2 crew members left, I don't want to lose any of them, and you're unsuccessful, then that means that the creature found you, and now you still have to defend against them. So you're right back where you were. Except that you forfeited your 2 victory
Right.
points that you would have gotten. Okay,
Casualties.
so now
roll
tracking.
for tracking. I
And
picked
track
the what's supposed to be
the
the easy
sword.
one. Yep. Rolled a 6, so that doesn't work.
No, unsuccessful.
No
So now
professional
you're gonna hunt.
activities. Hunting. That's a separate table. Okay, hunting in the jungle. Roll 1 die. Rolled a 4. That's 2 rations for 4 victory points. Is that right?
That's
Oh,
correct.
cowboy adds +1, so I have a 5, which is 3. So that's 6.
Nice. Nice hunting.
It only goes up to 3.
Okay, and so you already have 5 rations.
Yep.
So on your next turn, you won't hunt at all.
Okay.
And the logic behind that is, the hunting is basically to survive. So if you've already met your rations you need for the day, you would be spending it doing other activities. Okay, check for bonuses. Draw a card.
Under a bonus. I'm in the jungle. Write an article on the mysterious wall of fog that encircles the island while on the mesa or mountain, which I'm neither. I look under J for jungle.
No, you look under
B for biologist.
B
And C
for biology.
Oh, that's by profession, not by terrain. Okay. Discover Ixia viridiflora while in the jungle. 2 victory points.
And the cowboy is blank. So you are done.
Yep.
And it's Red's turn.
All right. Red will go into the jungle as well. Welcome to the jungle, baby. We're going to die.
No, it's all fun and games.
All right. So I don't have to check for lost. Moved. Don't have to map. So I'm going to attempt to discover a creature in the jungle. So here we go. Drawing a card. And no. There's no river, no ravine. So nothing there. Moving on to tracking. I'm attempting to track the Ankylosaurus. Because it's, quote, easy. But I can roll ones all day, so here's my roll. Oh, the one time I don't get a 1. Yes. By the way, you need to package the Wilhelm scream with this game because there's always going to be some guy going, what? And so tracking, I failed at that, and now I hunt. So I hunt in the. So I noticed we are in thunderstorm, right? Or did we just move out to showers?
No, we're in showers.
Oh, okay, so it's no effect on hunting. Okay, so hunting in the jungle. Here's my roll. It's a 4. I do not have a cowboy, so I just get 2 rations.
Yeah, not bad though.
No. Okay, so I'm adding 2 to my hunt fish, and there we go. And I draw a card for whatever professional discoveries. Let's see, I have an anthropologist. I am in the jungle, so I discover a Cyrillic verse written on an old plank of wood for 4 victory points. Wow.
Wow, huge.
And nothing for the geologist, so that is...
Slacker.
Yeah.
So the Russians got here before we did.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's very secret island. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah, there have been previous explorers.
All right, so I add 4
Okay,
victory
great.
points, and I am
Okay.
done.
That's a good first turn. So now we'll go to the evening phase. And if somebody wants to roll for the weather. And well, let's talk about what our options are. So last time we were at showers. So the only rolls that will count will be a 3, 4, or 5.
Oh, so it's always one immediate above or below. Gotcha.
Yep.
Maybe for the optional, you make it a 1
Yeah,
or
but-
2, it's worse. 3 or 4, it stays the same. 5 or 6, it gets worse or something.
Yeah.
That way you just save some die rolling, probably.
Better than re-rolling, yeah. Somebody want
Alright.
to roll? I'll do it.
Blue will roll.
Go ahead.
Roll the 4. Stays the same. Showers.
So
It always
showers
rains
again.
on this island. Always with the
Okay,
rain.
so we're still at
Feel like
yeah,
I'm playing
still at one
Minecraft.
movement point. And no professional activities. Okay, so
So-
Aaron.
Waits up.
So of this
I'm
turn,
thinking,
we're going to start with draw event card.
okay.
And the event is, go ahead and read it.
While on the mesa, a lightning bolt strikes your team. I'm not on a mesa.
No, not on
Because I
this.
can't afford to lose any people.
Yeah.
It would have killed fewer people than a spider, though. So.
Okay, so next is check for loss. We don't do that here. Move your team.
Yeah, so I was going to ask about this. I'm down a significant number of people. Is this something where I would move back a space and recover? Like 2 lost people, or push on?
I would push on.
Push on. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I would push on.
Well, then let's.
Lead on, Macduff.
Let's move up. So now I go into mapping.
Yes.
Draw an event card.
You're not dying. You haven't lived.
Okay.
It's a swamp.
2 is the only one. Yeah, it's already swamp. 5 is ocean.
So 1, 2. Yeah, so it's going to be a swamp. Okay, so I'll go ahead and explain. Everybody may have figured it out. So terrain is 2, 5 belt. So that means we're going to look in what is in direction number 2 first.
Right.
So 1, 2 takes you to that swamp hex to the right of you. So that means that this, since there's a swamp in the 2 direction, that means this hex is going to be a swamp. So go ahead and pull another terrain piece down if you haven't already. And then
I want to move myself out of the way real quick.
Yep. And then Control T it until you get there. You go. And give yourself your 2 victory points for terrain discovery. And since there can't be any rivers in the no lost area, we'll bypass river discovery. And we'll move on to discover creature.
All right. It was better than last time. Veldt or jungle? Guess that means I don't find anything.
It's quiet, sir. Too quiet.
That's all right. My guys are still a little shook up from the last creature we
I
discovered.
don't hear any spiders. It's a good thing.
So I move on to tracking.
Correct.
And I roll a die, correct?
Correct.
1d6.
There you go. Okay, so you are looking for Triceratops.
Yes.
So Triceratops requires 2 successful consecutive tracking attempts. So what you're going to do here is you're going to figure out what direction the Triceratops is going. So roll another die.
Okay.
So the only things that would work here would be 1, 2, 3, or 4 because 5 and 6 are in the water.
Well, it looks like he's in the swamp.
Correct. So you rolled a 2. So go up to where you got your pieces from and click on the miscellaneous tab.
Okay. Put it on that tile.
Yep. Okay. So strategy-wise here, next turn, you have 2 options. You can say, it'd be nice to track down the Triceratops, but I have other things in mind. And you could say, well, I'm going to go into a different hex. Or you could say, well, I got 1 successful attempt on the Triceratops, so I definitely want to go track them. Based on where you are, you've kind of got the hump on everybody going towards those 2 discovery tiles in the lake.
It's a win-win.
Before we get to the lake, let me explain how you get from land to the lake. So when you get to, let's say next turn you moved in to where the tracking counter is.
Yeah.
And you decided on the next turn you're going to enter the lake. Then you forfeit a movement turn before entering the lake to build a raft. And then on the next turn after you build the raft, you can move into the lake and do lake movement.
Okay.
So that would be your strategy, more than likely from here. So next we have Your hunt.
I'm just rolling, right? Yeah.
Yep.
5.
And
2 for swamp.
yeah, swamp. Yeah, that's correct. So you got 2 rations. Or did you need rations? I guess I should check that first.
I had 1 hunt fish last, victory point.
Yeah, you did. You needed rations. So now you've got your 3 rations for the day. So that's good. And since we're talking about that, we'll talk about the penalty of what would happen if you hadn't met your rations.
Uh-oh.
So let's say you got a 0 rations this time, which means you had a total of 1 ration for the day. So when the next morning starts, you couldn't move because you're basically just going to be trying to hunt for more rations to get through the day. There's a few things I have to look at the rules to see what which steps of the turn you can do when you're limited by rations. But basically that would be the penalty, is that you lose your movement points until you collect enough or collect your first set of rations to start moving on.
All right.
Okay. So
Bonuses?
and did you? Yeah. So you marked them on there, and
Yep.
Did we do discover creature? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you got your 2 for terrain. Good. Okay. So next, checker bonuses.
All right. Hey, I'm in a swamp again. I discovered Pterocarpus indicus, I think.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
2 VP.
You'd be kicking on the victory points if you hadn't lost your 3 rounds.
I think they're overvalued.
You clearly didn't need them.
I'm discovering everything without them. They were holding me back, to be honest.
And what was your other professional?
Oh, my other professional was a journalist.
Yeah. Jungle or belt. No, so that's a pass.
Oh, that would have been a great thing to get on camera.
Yeah. Okay. So who's next?
Blue.
Blue?
Event card, right?
Correct.
3 crew members get sick from eating a pleasant-looking but poisonous fruit. Crew recovers on a die roll of 1 or 104 if first aid kit is available. Is that like 124 if a first aid kit is available?
Found a typo.
It is a typo. I don't know how that one got in there. Crew recovers on a die roll of 1. Wow.
I'm with you. I think
Crew
that's probably a
recovers
type of fat finger. It
Probably
should have been 1 to
supposed
4.
to be yeah, because the hyphen is next to the 0 on the keyboard.
Not on my keyboard.
Oh, well.
So we saying it's 1 to 4 if I burn a first
It
aid
is,
kit?
yeah, it is. It's 1 to 4. Yep, that's exactly what it is.
All right. So I burned a first aid kit. I roll a dice and get a 1. Oh, and I unburn my first aid kit because do you have to make the decision to do the first aid kit presumably before you roll a dice?
Yeah, so you don't have a biologist or a doctor, right?
I do not.
Okay.
Paleontologist in case he dies.
Right, yeah, so
10,000 years later.
That's right. I found the cure. Okay, so I burned a first aid kit, rolled a 1, so nobody ends up getting sick because of the first aid kit.
there you go. And then just subtract your first aid kit from the journal.
I did. Got 2 now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so move the team. The team's going to move to the east, which is now an unmapped area. So we get 2 terrain VPs, right?
Correct.
Then we draw a card to map the terrain.
Yep.
3-5 is a lake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we are getting ourselves another jungle, right? Because 5 is jungle.
Yeah, that's right. It's jungle. Correct.
So terrain. Bring it down to there. I dude off of there. How do you cycle terrain?
Control T.
Control T.
Or you can right click and Control T is much faster.
She is. Okay. So we're there.
No river.
No river. No cataract.
Yep. So discover creature.
Discover creature.
In the jungle.
If the hex containing a river or a ravine. No.
Nope. No creature.
Tracking.
Yep. Nope.
Denied. Professional activities. No hunt. Yeah. No hunt because I already got enough food.
Check for bonuses.
Check for bonuses. We have a P and a C. So the P, a dinosaur spits in your eye, bastard. Temporary blindness, roll severity, minus VPs. And the cowboy is lasso a young triceratops. This guy's got to put that thing away. But regret after being dragged for several yards, minus 2 VPs. Okay, so on severity, I have to go on the defend table.
That's right, yep. So you'll be doing it twice.
Why am I doing it twice?
Oh no, only once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in the jungle. I get +1 for the cowboy. Well, a 6 up to a 7, so that didn't hurt. Stupid dinosaur.
Cool.
But I still take lose 2 VPs for the triceratops. I gotta get rid of that cowboy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well done.
Done.
Okay. So nothing on the event card.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'm looking for the lost chart.
No lost die roll for this one.
Yeah, there's no loss.
Okay. Oh, because we're still in this area. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move into the swamp here, closer to the lake.
Yeah.
And then I map the terrain. I don't need to do that. It's a swamp. Discover creature, right?
Correct.
If in the belt. Nope. Next is tracking. Roll of 3. Nothing. And hunt. I've got 4 rations. How many is the max rations?
3 is max, yeah.
So I've already got 1 too many.
Yeah, so no hunting then. So go move on to check for bonuses.
Check for bonuses. Draw a card. I have biologist. Identify plants used in temple ceremonies in the mountains. Nope. And the cowboy. Document prairie songs while in the belt. Nope. Uneventful day in the swamp. Okay.
Possible.
I'm done.
Great.
Okay. Well, everyone's going for the lake. I wonder if I should do the opposite. So I'm just going to go to the jungle.
Go back home.
Oh, first I have to do an event card. So here's the event.
Yep.
Not near the lake or the lake shore. So because I'm smart, I'm gonna go to the jungle there. So we're going to skip down to discover creature. I have to pull a card. No creature because I'm not in a swamp, so nothing there. And I guess I am. How many rations do I have now? I have got 3 total.
You
So
are full.
I am full, so
You're good.
I don't need to do anything.
Yep.
Okay, so here's my professional card bonuses. An iron cross medal near water. I am not, sadly. And geologist alum deposits in a jungle or mesa. So I get a victory point for alum because it makes Sylvester's mouth shrink up. Okay. All right. So I get 1 victory point in the evening for the bonus. And that is my turn.
So now we move back to morning.
Hey, can we do a time check? What's everybody thinking about as far as duration goes tonight?
Since you asked, when do you turn into a pumpkin?
This might not be a bad point to stop for the night since we've completed 1 day and we
Sure.
kind of got our legs under us.
Yeah.
Then, we'll just reconvene at another time.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Hope so far it's been fun. Got off to a little rocky start. They're getting off of the wall, but I learned a lot.
So I have saved the end of day 1 for us. If you want to do that.
All right. Thanks, gents.
Yeah, good to meet y'all.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Group.
I
really
look
appreciate
forward to
it.
more crew members dying from giant miniature spiders.
That's right.
I hope
Better
to have
weather.
a more eventful day tomorrow.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Night.